Monday on Daily Delivery, and a special Monday at that, 'cause it's the first Monday of the NFL season. Michael Rand here, Patrick Reusse with me as well. Not going to be a lot of great news on today's show. A lot of losing over the weekend, especially with the Vikings. We'll start there in just a minute. The Twins had an okay weekend. They still won 2 of 3, but they lost Sunday. Division still looks like it's in great shape. The Lynx lost their last 2, Patrick, and kind of gave themselves a much tougher road in the playoffs than they could have had. But the Vikings, Patrick, so it couldn't have gone much worse, right? This started Thursday when the Lions beat the Chiefs. Surprisingly, we're thinking now the Lions are maybe going to be pretenders this year. They kind of got this. Everybody's picking them, so then they can't be that good. They're the Lions. They win. Everybody's saying the Vikings are going to extend Justin Jefferson. That doesn't get done. They go out and lose to Tampa Bay. We'll definitely get into a lot of that here in a sec. Green Bay goes out. Jordan Love looks pretty good. And then the nightcap, the Giants lose like 40-0. And you're like, this is the team they lost to in the playoffs last year. So it could not have been a worse weekend for the Vikings.
I was going to have that same sentiment that you just expressed. We lost to that Giants team at home in a playoff game. My God, that's the worst looking football team I ever saw in my life. Daniel, you know who should love the Vikings? Daniel Jones.
Yes.
The Giants weren't going to bring him back, and then he came in here and ran all over the field against them. So they gave him they ended up having to give him an extension because they thought so little of them. After year 3, they didn't pick up his year 5 option. So they had to make him a free agent. They go out and get beat 40-0. He was terrible. How would he like to have been a Giants fan there yesterday?
Yes.
Driving rain.
Yes.
You're sitting there. You're drunk. And now here they come and get beat 40-0. That place had to empty out pretty good, but that was incredible. But as for the Tampa game, it was impossible to lose that game.
It seemed like it. Yeah, Baker Mayfield.
6 possessions. They had 1 first down in the first half or something like that. They did nothing.
Yeah.
And you let them hang around, and you didn't put them away because you sputtered and you turned it over 3 times, and then all of a sudden he completes about 4 passes and they're ahead of you. It was an amazing. You know what it was? It was a tribute to the NFL in that even the bad games are close games. So you end up with the 2 minutes to go. You don't know who's going to win. So. But it was a terrible loss. It was, you know what? It reminded me. Remember when Denny lost the first one of the year to Carolina?
Yes, and then Carolina didn't win the whole year.
Went 1-15.
Yes,
that Tampa team's going to be about 3-14 this year.
Yes,
and you lost to them on your home field. So that was brutal.
And that Denny game you referenced, that was 2001. That was the year after they went to the NFC title game against the Giants and lost 41-0. And you're like, well, even though they lost 41-0, this is still a really good team. No, they went 5-11. Denny gets fired.
Denny gets fired, yes, and that's that was a landmark season. The sad part about that season, though, was, until Detroit won the last week of the season, the Vikings were going to have performed the feat of providing the only victory for 2 teams because Detroit also had only won against the Vikings.
I don't think I remembered that. That's amazing.
It would have been a exacta for the ages that you did that. But anyway, as for the Vikings, to me, it was unexplainable how they lost that game.
Yeah.
Just because Tampa for so long did nothing.
Yeah.
And they still managed to let them win the game. They just didn't put them away and gave them a chance. And even that, I never, until the very end, until they completed 3rd and 10, I still thought I still thought the Vikings would win the game. But I think we've all said the football gods have some revenge coming from
Oh
last
yes.
season, and that was one of them right there.
Yes.
That's a game they 100% win last year, and
Yes.
they did not this year. I don't know, but the other thing, they didn't have a sack, right? They didn't have a sack
I don't
against
think
Baker
so.
Mayfield. I
No,
don't think they had a
they,
sack.
yeah,
They
they
didn't
got
get a
to him a
turnover.
couple of times. No, they didn't get a
Where was
turnover.
where was the new aggressive butt
Well,
kicking defense? I mean,
it,
they did hold them
they,
down.
yeah, I mean, they showed a lot of looks, but they seemed to go away from some of that in the second half. Like in the first half, I was like, they were every third down. It felt like early on they were showing 8 guys at the line of scrimmage, and they weren't sending 8. Obviously, that's kind of that's very
Yeah,
risky, but they were at least confusing them. They got a lot more. I don't say they weren't passive, but they got out of a lot of those looks, and maybe some of it was Tampa was figuring it out. But that part surprised me because I thought that they were having some success with just confusing Baker Mayfield. Just make it
yes.
look like you're doing something that you're not, and that's kind of that's what the whole defense is predicated on. It seemed to me, at least watching it, in just in real time, that they got away from some of that, but maybe they didn't. I don't know. But yeah, they didn't have it. They did not have it. They lost the turnover battle 3-0. You're not going to win a lot of games that way,
No,
and you didn't.
it
Yeah, they didn't
was.
get enough pressure on them.
Yeah, they did not. Did they didn't have that many chances for they had to hit him a few times. They just
Yeah,
didn't
they
hit.
did.
He would have coughed one up, and I don't know. It was a bad loss. I will tell you that, and it sets the now you go to Philly to play an Eagles team that did not play that good
No,
on Sunday, but managed to
but
win.
one. Yeah,
I think they're actually better off Philadelphia won instead of lost because otherwise you would go in there and you were going to be playing a mad
a
Philadelphia team.
desperate
But
team. Yeah.
yeah, but Philadelphia, that's you turn around and you know what though we all expect them to go down there now and get hammered. The NFL, nobody gets hammered anymore except the Giants,
Except the
40-0. It's
except
all
the Giants. Yeah.
it's always up for grabs. So they'll go down. They'll probably go down there and have a chance. But it's a gloomy way. It doesn't seem like the young calm coach was too happy with his troops either. He
I
looked like he
just
was very miffed on the sidelines a few times. So
I just don't know. Like after watching them one time, and it's just 1 out of 17, so we probably need to calm down a little bit. But after watching that game, I think I tried to ignore some of the evidence from last year and even in camp this year, and just be like, well, they were 13-4 last year. There's something about them that even if they aren't going to be as lucky as they are, if they're a little bit better than they were last year, they'll still be a pretty good team, like maybe a 9 or 10 win team. But just watching them on the field, like there's a lot of position groups that are just aren't very good. Like even now the offensive line, they got 2 injuries right away. Especially if the Darisaw one is serious, that's
if
going to be a big one.
that's a disaster if he's if he gets hurt. I mean, if he's actually hurt. Bradbury,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
he had a decent year last year, but he's not a star. But they had to play half the year last year without O'Neal, and you don't want to have to play without those 2 tackles. And I think
no,
Darisaw might be just as good as O'Neal. So
yeah,
yeah, that would be terrible if he had some kind of a bad injury. The offensive line. Man, that is so important. And when they start getting hurt, it seems to become epidemic. So I hope not. I mean, it would be bad for him. But I got an idea. If
yeah,
you make a guy the second highest paid tight end in the league,
yeah.
because he can run, he can run
Yes,
away from
go
guys and
down the
run over the
field.
middle. Let him get beyond the line of
Yes.
scrimmage once or
Oh,
twice. He was 8 catches for 35 yards.
those
Oh,
tight end screens drive me crazy. The
oh,
last the last chance they had to score when they were down 3, it killed that drive immediately. They started out like 2nd and 13 because they ran another one of those stupid tight end screens that never work.
yeah, I don't know what you're trying to accomplish. You can run. He can come out of the, come off the line of scrimmage, and while the other two guys are running, they send two guys flying down the side of the field and run him over the middle. He'll
Yes.
catch a 15-yard pass.
Yes.
That's the reason you got him. That's the reason you paid him. Incredible amounts of money. You paid him so much money you couldn't sign Justin Jefferson.
Yes, which I want to talk about here too. But yeah, like
then you won't throw him the ball 15 yards down the field ever. It's ridiculous. I don't get it.
We know from Ben Gessling's story on, I can't remember if it was the O'Connell. I think it was the O'Connell story. We know from that story a week or so ago that they are willing to take plays out of the playbook. They took the 4th and 8 play from the Giants game out of the playbook. They said not because it's a bad play, but because there's too many bad memories associated with it. So they can take a play out of the playbook, take the tight end screen, whatever, however you're running it, take it out of the playbook. I don't believe I've ever seen it work with this team.
Never do it again.
Never do it again. I'm so tired of that play. It doesn't work.
Grand Casino would like to take a moment and salute the true football fan. The passion, the hope, the anticipation, that incomparable feeling of winning. Grand Casino would also like to take a moment to remind you that you can find all that anticipation, thrill, and winning at Grand Casino. Grand Casino, let your story begin.
I don't think O'Connell had his finest game calling plays.
No, I don't think he's a great play caller. In fact, I don't know if his offense is great. He's not impressed me with the X's and O's. He's impressed me greatly with his command of the team, the way he gets them to play, the way he's able to manage certain moments, but he's not hugely impressed me with how he runs a game and runs an offense. It's
interesting too that the good old Minnesota fans, we like to find a villain. With the Twins, it's Rocco.
Yep. Yes.
And Kwesi. It's Kwesi's fault. This was Kwesi. Why, somebody said, why haven't they addressed the offensive line problem? Well, they've used unbelievable draft capital on that offensive line. They have all kinds of all ones or twos except for Ed.
No, Ingram's a 2. Ingram's a 2.
Is he a 2?
Yes.
They've used, they've drafted for the position.
1s and 2s, yes.
We were whining when the offensive line, we were whining because they weren't using elite draft picks for the offensive line. So they did it. They got Dersau. They shouldn't have been lucky enough to get him, but they got him.
Right.
So that's not. You maybe should look at your staff developing guys more than you looking at the general managers for not. Spielman tried to fix it. This guy, he'll use draft capital for it too. But it's just that you get a couple of guys banged up, and the Packers across the street here for years have their problem has become the offensive line because Bakhtiari got hurt and all those guys get hurt. When they get hurt, then you're gonna have issues. But I don't know. They just it wasn't like Cousins was. He got hit a couple of times, or he got hit a lot last year, but it wasn't. He wasn't under horrible fire yesterday. Every time a blitz is coming and they hit you, you don't have to fumble. You can.
That's true.
Remember when we used to say Dante had small hands?
Yes.
I don't think we can say Kirk has small hands, do we? But
no,
3 turnovers were not good for him. But he ended up with what though? Almost 400 yards, right?
Yeah, 350 or something. He had like 270 in the first half. They flashed a great stat. A company you don't necessarily want to keep. They flashed a great stat. It was like he was the first quarterback since Vinny Testaverde in 2000 to finish the first half with like over 270 passing yards, but 3 turnovers.
Wow. Oh. And how many points did they have at halftime?
10. It was 10-10. Yeah.
With 270
yards passing. 270 yards passing. I mean, it was, I mean, Jefferson.
Well, they don't run anymore, so they don't.
They tried. Yeah, they think they're going to run. I don't know about that. I think Madison was okay. He did really well on that little pass to get in the end zone,
Yeah.
but I don't think they don't have much of a run game. They don't have.
Well, they don't want to. They didn't want to. They
No.
don't want to. And then, they're gonna use the tight end screen instead. Mike.
Oh my
They
gosh!
don't need to run.
Don't get me started again on the tight end screen. You know who did look good though? I think Josh Oliver looks pretty good. He's a good blocker, and he impressed me a little bit more as a pass catcher than I realized he could be. So I think that was a good pickup.
Addison had room a few times, and he can run away from people.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
So,
he didn't have like a every down impact, but he did fine. Jefferson looked great, but I mean, and that was a weird one that they didn't get him signed to that extension, and he looked agitated during the game. Like after that interception at the end of the first half, he went blindsided that guy to tackle him. He looked mad during that game, and I don't know if it's frustration that they were turning the ball over 3 times or what it was, but how does it get to the point where all the leaks are they're going to get this thing done by Sunday, and then they don't? How do you what's the holdup here? Was it that Bosa signed that deal a few days ago that gave him like $34 million a year, and now he's not going to be the highest paid player?
30 wasn't going to be enough.
I don't know what it is, but it's weird when it sounds like it's going to get to the finish line with a guy like that, and then it doesn't before the start of the season, and now it's just another thing you got to worry about because he's your franchise right now.
Yeah, and he's been such a good, no trouble teammate. Yes. But he's a wide receiver. Remember,
yes,
in their soul. They're, we've had a few others that came in here, and Randy was an idiot from the start. And when Carter's ego got bigger and bigger, and most of them, they get Diggs, love Diggs, and all of a sudden Diggs wasn't being, the quarterbacks weren't good enough for Diggs, so it was,
Percy,
they're the more than Percy more than. So, receivers have a tendency to get over their skis a little bit ego-wise. So we'll see what happens here. But there's no indication as of yet that he's not going to give you the full effort every play.
No, and he gave full effort yesterday. It was just weird because, like I said, it sounded like it was getting close, and I don't know. You don't want that. You don't want that lingering too long. They don't have to get it done.
Body language is a overrated thing in sports, but in football we do it a lot. But when it won't be back to the old days unless we have both Addison and Jefferson running over and screaming at the quarterback. They come off the field like Moss and Carter used to.
Yes.
Carter would see Moss yelling at Culpepper, so then he'd go over and start running at him, yelling at him because he didn't want to, have him just throw into Moss. So as long as that doesn't occur, we'll be okay. As long as Kirk isn't get screamed at by both receivers to throw him the ball. So
it was just 1 of 17, like I said, but it does feel like the kind of game when you couple it or pair it with some of the other outcomes in the division, it feels like they're going to be chasing this game for a long time, and it feels like one of those where you get to the end of the season and be like, man, they never fully accounted for the loss in this game.
Here's the thought we have to have, okay?
Yeah.
What if Jordan Love is good?
I know he looked pretty good yesterday.
Yet, but what if he's good? What if it turns out he's good? Then all of a sudden, I dismissed the Packers, right? Because I thought they were going downhill, but if they kept the running back, unlike us.
Right.
They kept Aaron Jones, who's a stud, but he's also a great pass catcher.
Yes,
but they kept the running back. They had a little balance to their team, and Love, Love comes running out of the pocket. You might have some issues there, so he'll be a different kind of quarterback. But if he's good. We know one thing, Justin Fields stinks. Okay, so the Bears are going to be bad. We know that. But if the Lions and the Packers are both above average NFL team, then you're going to be because of yesterday's game. What did I see the stat? If even with all the playoffs, 14 spots now, if you lose the opener, only 25% of the teams make the playoffs, or something like that. When you
Yeah,
lose
that's
the
something like
opener,
that. Yeah, it's hard right away. Yeah,
it's real. It's especially when you lose it at home. So
yeah.
it's okay to be mad about this. I don't know. The Viking fan base, to me, has become an optimistic fan base, and so I don't think it's there's a lot of unhappiness, but I think there's still a Kirk. Right away I took a shot at Kirk on Twitter just to get him fired up because
Right.
they were all defending him, and so it's for some reason it's become used to be the fan base that was very, very fatalistic, but they're more optimistic than I think. Maybe because the ones that go to the games are spending so dang much money, it's become like the Wild
Like the
fans.
Wild,
They
yeah.
don't want to say, "God, I spent $400 today for two of us, and I'm not going to be mad. I gotta say I
Right.
had a
Go
good
find
time."
something to be happy about.
Anyway, so
No.
bad loss
Yes.
to start the season. And in football, that's 10% of your schedule. It's not like losing a
Yeah.
baseball game. So
No. 512 comments, by the way, on the Star Tribune game story
oh
from that
man,
game. So we're
no,
there
they
are
were. I started off reading a few of them. They that don't worry. Even if the rest of the rest of the Viking world is optimistic, the Star Tribune commenters will be the most negative
right.
jackasses in America. So
Yes.
unbelievable.
Well,
So
let's move on from that for a little while. But you're right, short week at Philadelphia. You're staring down 0-2 now. And again, they've come back from those seasons and at least got themselves competitive. But yeah, you lose a game you're supposed to win in the NFL. And
yeah,
at some point, you got to find a game that you were supposed to lose and win that one. And maybe it's Thursday. We'll see.
sure.
Maybe they're better. We don't know. But starting 0-2, if the 0-1 stat is bad, the 0-2, you won't want to look up the 0-2 stat because I think it gets down to like less than 10% of those teams make the playoffs.
Really? Wow.
I think so.
It is an
So
amazing league, though, that they just, the number of close games is incredible. So,
it is. And they won a lot of those last year. 11 and 0,
right?
11 and 0, 11 and 0, except for the playoffs.
Yeah. There's a big Thor type god up there who oversees
yes.
well, and they aren't going to let you do that 2 years in a row. Sorry.
No.
So,
You set a record last year. Well, here it comes crashing right back down.
Yes.
Well, speaking of playoffs, let's talk Twins because I think they solidified their position over the weekend pretty well. They took 2 out of 3 from the Mets. The one they lost yesterday, they just didn't hit. Pablo Lopez was fantastic.
Oh God, he was good. Man alive.
Guardians lost 2 of 3, so it's 7 up with 19 to play. It's feeling more and more secure by the day. But yeah, talk about Pablo for a minute.
He was brilliant. He's been really good for quite a while. He once in a while would pop up and have that inning, where they get a couple of runs off him. But he's a big, strong man. He's had some arm trouble in the past, but that when they first got him, one thing you heard about him is, he's a power pitcher. He's got over 200 strikeouts now, but that changeup is fantastic. It really is a fantastic pitch. I'd heard that he had a great changeup, but it's been wonderful for him. And it was kind of sad that you can't go get him a win yesterday. And Griffin Jacks is a pretty good pitcher, but he can come in and lose a ball game for you in situations like that. He's had a lot of bad. He had that whole stretch earlier in the year where he had 5 straight games. He got pounded around, and I don't blame the manager for going to him there. I mean, Pablo looked like he knew he was done after 8, and I don't blame him for going to Jacks, but he can lose a game for you. But the big thing is, Correa again comes up with the in a scoreless game with a chance to get a guy home for third with a 1 out, and he doesn't do it. He has been he leads the team in it's amazing that a guy could be that inept in RBI situations and lead the team in RBIs.
Right. Right.
Because he's got like 100 and some more at bats than anybody else.
Right.
And Kepler's the only one in the same category as him. But yeah, they've done that twice now. They've hit the first 2 games of a series and then did nothing. I think they got held to 2 hits in Cleveland when they had a chance on the road against Cleveland when they had a chance to sweep them. So they still have that in them. And I just look at this team, Mike, when they get to the playoffs against Toronto, or you're going to end up with you're going to play a good club no matter who it ends up being. I mean, and I don't think they'll be able to hit. I just don't think they're going to hit when they get to the postseason. So the reason they've lost 18 straight playoff games is they haven't hit against really anybody in the postseason. And I just don't see this as a team that's going to hit against good pitching. Who's going to, okay, our guy Julien, send him to St. Paul for 2 weeks. Tell him to swing the bat. It's just
he had 3 walks yesterday.
I know. He's up there fighting to get walks. Swing the bat. You got a guy at second base and knock in a run when you get ahead in the count. But he's waiting for that. Then he gets called out late in the game on a pitch. He's always waiting. He's waiting for the walk when a pitch is a centimeter outside the plate and with 2 strikes. Then he always looks at the umpire. He got called out. That ball was in the box, and he's looking at the umpire like but swing the bat. That's what you do. You're a good hitter. It drives me nuts. He won't swing the bat, and the whole thing with him is becoming, his on base percentage, while he's done nothing as far as producing runs, is like 410 or something because he gets walks all the time.
Yeah, it's 379. Yeah, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, and but he doesn't. He's not up there to hit. He's up there to walk, and it's not like he's one of those guys when he walks, he's going to immediately steal second for you or something like that either. So I don't know. I think I'm obviously overreacting by saying send him to St. Paul.
Right.
When I start next year, he's going to have to beat out Brooks Lee to be my second baseman. I'll tell you that, or to be in my lineup, I guess, because Jorge will probably still be here as your second baseman. I don't know what they're going to do with Brooks Lee, but Julien is driving me nuts because he won't swing. That said, as much as it would have been nice for about 4 months to have a guy who could hit like a Rise, because their hitting was so pathetic going to the All-Star game. He's exactly what they needed. Lopez is exactly what they needed too. I got to admit that he's your ace. He's going to start game 1.
I was going to ask who you started in game 1. I think it's Lopez too. Yeah, Sonny's good, but Sonny might go 5 sometimes, and Lopez is.
Lopez will give you 7 in the first game he pitches against anybody. I got a hunch, so you go that way, and then you got Sonny next, and that's a 3-game series. And I don't know who your game 3 is.
Maybe Joe Ryan. He's been pitching pretty well since he came back from his injury.
Overpitched good in St. Paul. You're gonna have to take a look at him when I assume when his 15 days are up, they'll bring him back.
That's pretty soon too, isn't it? It's got to be like right about now.
They'll bring him back and see if they refresh his arm or not. But,
yes. It's not Dallas Keuchel. He's been okay, but it's not Dallas Keuchel in the playoffs. Let's not mess around with that.
Now you were going against the Vikings yesterday, so your crowd wasn't going to be good. But it was odd that, like, last time they were home, they didn't really draw on Labor Day week. People said the State Fair, which I don't buy. But so I'm wondering, okay, people are just, they went in August like they could. But then they had good crowds this weekend. They had 30,000 on Saturday afternoon. So, it seems like we talked about this last week, and you actually wrote something about it. Royce Lewis has really changed the vibe on it. A lot less negative. negativity. It's kind of like, how negative would the vibe be on the Vikings if they didn't have Jefferson?
Oh, yes,
And
exactly. Yes, like
that's
gives them hope.
it's kind of the same with Reusse and you just people like him, and they can. It comes through the TV screen that he's a really good guy, and everything's being said about him as this personality, this bonding type personality. Sounds like a awful BSN cliche.
Yeah.
But in his case, it's true. He's like this.
Right.
He's like this big personality who everybody likes, and his quote after Correa's long over. It's nice to see a big man like that hit a ball harder.
Yeah.
Just, he's kind of a rally around guy as far as the fans are concerned, which is good. So
he's got the I think you made the point last week that he's got the confidence without coming out arrogant, and that's hard for someone to do. I think, especially a number 1 overall pick. Like it's hard to lead without. When you know you're really good, sometimes it comes out as arrogance, and I don't get that from him.
Well, people have that. That people have a bad vibe about Correa, and I don't know why. I mean, because he hadn't hit. That's probably it. He's making 200 million, and he's not hitting. I guess that's it. But then the whole Houston thing. But he's been a pretty good guy. He comes off as the Dior quote got him in trouble, but
the Dior store. I love that. Yeah,
it was kind of interpreted like he only shops at the Dior store. He was just saying in this sweepstakes to sign.
It's going to cost you
players. You're not going to go to Marshalls. You're not going to pay Marshalls prices.
There's no Dior outlet store.
No.
And that's maybe there. I don't know. Maybe there's. I don't shop at the Dior store. The Twins did. They don't often do it, but yeah, I don't know. It is interesting. Like, and the Twins have been waiting for someone like this, and they hoped it was Buxton. They hoped it was Sano. It's never really. They haven't really had that. And the other teams in this market do. Like you said, the Vikings have Jefferson, the Wolves have Ant, the Wild have Kaprizov. Like the Twins didn't have that face, and maybe it is Lewis.
Yeah, that's. That it seems to be that guy, yes, and I don't know. You just you end up playing right now. I think it would still be Toronto, and that would be a bad matchup because that is a sleeping giant. That team. Oh, you could get some runs off the couple of your stuff. Jose's not going to shut you out. He'll probably pitch good against you, but you can get a run against him.
They've got a couple They've got lefties too. So
yeah, that's true. So that'd be it. But they're all, they're
all good teams.
Yeah, the American League has all the good teams, so it's not gonna. There's not, if you get beat 2 games right out of
you're done. Yeah,
it won't be a shock.
No, but then the streak would be 20.
You'd have to hit, and then
the streak would be 20, and I think the last 5 of those would have been home games because both of them in 2020 were at home, and the last one in 19 was at home.
The one they'll never get over is the Oakland series.
The 06, yeah.
What a year that was. I was looking back, though, at I wrote something about this in an early column that nobody saw, but that 2010 team was good.
Yeah.
Morrow got hurt at the
also
middle.
right around the break, yeah.
And that team was that was a good team, and they had some bad. Tommy came in here, and
they had home field in the playoff or for the first round that year, didn't they? Then they lost the first 2 here with.
Was it? Didn't they lose the first 2 here? Yeah, right.
They did. I think they did. I mean, I know they got swept, but I think that series. I think they had the home field advantage in that series.
Yeah, they did. They did. And if they hadn't lost Joe, if they hadn't lost Joe Nathan, team would have that would have been a 100-win team, and they probably had the number 1 seed. And I don't know. But I know I was comparing it to Edwin Diaz, the Mets losing Edwin Diaz.
Oh, sure.
Right off the bat. Baseball seasons develop vibes, and the Yankees, the Mets vibe went to Kaflooey when Edwin Diaz got hurt celebrating a WC victory.
Yes.
And you looked at his stats from last season, and then all of a sudden you got David Robertson trying to be your finisher. That's not a fair
Yeah.
trade. Oh, anyway.
Yeah. Let's finish up quick. Oh, go ahead.
I do think that people feel better about the Twins than they did a month ago, don't you?
Absolutely. I think they do too. Yep. I think some of it's just the way they're winning now. They're winning a little bit more than they were, and when you hit, it feels different. Like when you win 2-1, people are grumbling still about the offense. When you win 5-4 or 8-6, it feels a little bit more. I don't know why it feels more satisfying. It just does to fans. It's more exciting. It's more interesting, and it makes you feel like you can win more than one way. And that was kind of you didn't feel like that earlier in the year. Let's move on to the Lynx quick before we go. They blew a golden chance, Patrick. They made the playoffs, of course. They're the 6th seed. All they had to do was beat Indiana, which is terrible, yesterday, and they would have been the 5 seed. They would have played, I think, Dallas in the playoffs instead of Connecticut. Now, Connecticut's not like one of the – there's 2 elite teams, I think, in the WNBA. That was New York and Vegas. Connecticut's a lot better, though, than Dallas. Dallas is kind of down around 500, and that would have been a fun series if the Lynx would have played them because of all the drama between those teams early in the year, and the Dallas player calling the Lynx fans, what was it, classless? I can't remember what it was. In that game. But anyway, they blew 2 games over the weekend. They lose to Chicago, which, that was a team that had something to play for, but Indiana. And then you were mentioning to me, I hadn't seen this because I've been so Vikings focused. Reeve goes off on him, huh?
Reeve ripped Reeve once again, and now told us that she told them exactly what they should do, and they didn't do it. And it was probably her worst diatribe of a season in which she's given herself credit for wonderful preparation before several losses. So it's if other coaches in this town eviscerated their team like she does, I don't know if they get away with it or not. But apparently the Lynx are the one. I guess the Cheryl's deal is she can eviscerate her team, but she doesn't want anybody else to be doing it. Seems to be the deal. So it's there's some quotes worth looking at about how
I see it now.
The one about about one of the I think McBride, who she just signed, said we got to flush this one, and the Reeve went crazy. You don't flush it; you got to sit in it. So I mean,
I see it. Yeah,
kind of a gross, analogy there. But anyway, she went off again. She's had quite a year for. She gets so angry at these bad defeats, and
I'm just reading. I'm reading the last quote from Kent Youngblood's story. We have no clue, Reeve said. The team we're about to play in the playoffs has a big time clue. Like
if they go out and get beat, this is a best of 3, right?
Yes. So first one's at home. That's how they do it in the WNBA. The lower seed gets the first one at home, I think, and then the next 2. All right, the better seed.
I thought I saw it was the opposite way this year, though.
Oh, maybe it is. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe I'm not. Maybe they decided they can afford to fly somebody for a game third or something. The cheapos, but she did not take that well. I think she knows deep in her heart she should have tanked this year and didn't do it. She had a big golden chance to tank when they at 0-6, and then Nafisa came back and was so dang good she wouldn't let them tank, and then so they end up, they had a good run. And now the thing about Caitlin Clark is they don't think, she's making all this NIL money, but all those sponsors are going to come with her if she goes to the WNBA too. So it's she's got to come out, and she would fill your arena up for the 5 years. So it would have been nice to tank for Caitlin. But they did.
Instead they had to get the 6th seed. And you're right. I was wrong about the format. I was misreading when that Wednesday game is. So they've got The first two are at Connecticut, and if they manage to win one of those, then game 3 is back here on Wednesday, the 20th. So it's
Connecticut's been a good franchise for the league.
Yes.
They play out at the casino. They, half the league is Connecticut players. So
that's true.
They got that loyal audience, and the college audience isn't far away that they can, go over and buy a $20 ticket and watch them. So they've been a fairly good winning franchise. And we forget Lindsay started there. We had to get Lindsay
quite a while.
So anyway.
Yeah.
That's the gloom and doom weekend. Although I wouldn't be too gloomy about the Twins, but the other two teams are very gloomy. Yes. But our Gophers fought to a valiant victory for Eastern Michigan.
Afterthought after Sunday.
Found their running back though, Darius Taylor. Why did he have one carry in the season opener?
Must not be ready. Wasn't ready. And that 1 week later though, he was ready.
What is not ready?
I don't know. I'm giving him a chance. I don't know. You take the ball into the hole.
I'm going to hand you the ball. Run through that hole. You got to get him ready. Okay.
Yes. Well, I'll have plenty.
Get him ready to block because you threw 40-some passes against Nebraska. So anyway.
I'll have plenty of Gophers talk on next Monday's show because I'm going out to North Carolina for that game. And,
really? Okay. In North Carolina, you can be optimistic about that. They had to go overtime to beat
Appalachian State. Yes.
At home. And
yes.
I actually saw the end of it, and they missed the 2-point conversion, but then
they got a turnover.
Their defense, which gave up 34 points, rose up to stop them. But they were Mac Brown's teams are, this, they're going to be ill prepared. So you got because the guy's an idiot. He won with Vince Young. He's a great recruiter.
Yeah,
he's shifty guy, but he's an idiot as a coach. So you got a chance to win that game, even though you're going to be a touchdown underdog. Probably.
I'd love to hear another coach say that, like in a pregame press conference. Say, the thing you know about the opponent, they're going to be ill prepared.
Yes, that's right. We'll
always have the edge in the game plan. That team.
The only thing Mac's missing is he used to have Coach Brew on his coaching staff.
Yes.
But now he's got. They lost him to Dion. So
yes.
So that's
Dion. That's a good story too. Well, we'll talk
our
about
guy. One more thing. Our guy Jeff Sims turned it over 3 times in the first half when they got beat out in Colorado. So. Jeff Sims, the hero of the Vikings, Gophers win over Nebraska, has now got 7 turnovers in 2 games. I bet he's really popular with those Nebraska.
Yes, well, at least it wasn't a 1-score loss for Nebraska this time. All right, Patrick. Thank you.
Goodbye.